Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm Rudy McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Noted US evangelist and founder of Christian relief organisation Samaritan's Purse, Franklin Graham, has given a wake-up call to all churches to focus on evangelization. Speaking to Fox News, the CEO of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association said that churches need to be doing more evangelization, telling people how they can have a relationship with God through their faith in Jesus Christ. He made this comment citing recent Pew research which projected the Christian population in the United States dipping to just 35% in 2070 and non-believers rising to 52% of the country. Mr. Graham bemoaned how several churches focus on social topics instead of preaching the gospel. He also slammed teachers for teaching the standards of the world instead of those of God. The Evangelist also said that removing the 10 Commandments from schools has resulted in the decline in faith and morals in society. Human rights activists have asked US Secretary of State Antony Blinken to include Nigeria on the list of the world's worst violators of religious freedom. In 2020, the State Department had declared Nigeria a country of particular concern in its Religious Freedom Report for having engaged in or tolerated severe violations of religious freedom. In November 2021, the State Department removed Nigeria from the list in spite of growing attacks against Christians. On September the 19th, 68 non-governmental organisations and rights experts sent a letter to Blinken to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern and appoint an envoy to probe the attacks against believers. According to persecution watchdog Open Doors, more Christians were killed in Nigeria last year than in all other nations combined. While on his fourth visit to war-torn Ukraine to deliver humanitarian aid, Papal Almoner Cardinal Krajewski prayed before the recently discovered mass grave in Izium. In that grave, Ukrainian troops discovered hundreds of bodies of innocent people, including children, who were tortured and killed by Russians. He said there are neither words nor tears, adding that only prayer can ease the heart so burdened by pain. The Cardinal travelled to the crisis-hit country on behalf of the Pope to deliver relief to the Ukrainian people. While in the town of Zaporizhia, the head of the Pope's charity office was attacked by Russian forces and narrowly escaped. Before visiting Izium, Cardinal Krajewski had a meeting with Bishop Pavlo Honcharuk of Kharkiv Zaporizhia Diocese. He will later travel to the capital Kyiv and from there return to Rome. The Secretary of State of the Holy See, Cardinal Pietro Parolin, has stressed the need to relaunch Pope Francis's call for a global educational pact. He was speaking at the United Nations Transforming Education Summit held in New York on Monday to handle the crisis in global education in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic and the war in Ukraine. The Cardinal said education will help overcome the many existing fractures in societies, building stronger and more resilient communities based upon the values of human fraternity and mutual solidarity. The top Vatican official also highlighted the Catholic Church's role in the field of education, with schools and universities throughout the world enabling more than 70 million youths to receive a quality education. UN General Secretary Antonio Guterres had convened the meeting in response to the current global crisis of education. Pro-life activists in Ireland have urged the government to take urgent steps to make sure that mothers seeking an abortion are told about positive alternatives. This was demanded during the March for Life that took place in the capital of the Irish Republic, Dublin, on Saturday, in which 2,000 people took part. During the march, Eilish Mulroy of the Pro-Life campaign said that in the first 3 years after the new abortion law was introduced in the Republic, 20,718 abortions were carried out in the country. She termed this a national tragedy and sought steps to keep women informed about other alternatives. An abortion services review is scheduled to be completed by the end of this year. It is being done by Dr. Catherine Conlon, Assistant Professor of Social Studies at Trinity College in Dublin. It was in 2018 that the nation liberalised abortion following a referendum on the 8th Amendment. A documentary on Padre Pio has found a place in the list of top 10 most watched movies in the United States in terms of spectators per theatre. Entitled The Mystery of Padre Pio, the documentary was released in American theatres on September the 16th. Running for 1 hour and 20 minutes, it provides insights into the life of the stigmatist saint. It shows in detail the persecution of Padre Pio by the Church and is accompanied by a powerful original soundtrack. The documentary came second in the impact ratio per room, only beaten by Woman King, a Sony blockbuster. This comes ahead of the liturgical feast of the saint on September the 23rd. St. Pio, an Italian Capuchin priest, bore the stigmata for 50 years and was known for his miracles, healings, and other mystical phenomena. The vocation ministry in the United States is set to launch the first nationwide Deacon Sunday to raise awareness about the permanent diaconate on October the 9th. The annual event, which will be held on the second Sunday of October, is reinforced by a number of creative ideas developed by the vocation ministry to be easily applied to parishes and to schools. The ministry is dedicated to supporting and increasing vocations. Permanent deacons are prepared to take on various responsibilities during a 5-year formation period before being ordained. The number of permanent deacons, however, is declining. In 2021, 458 new permanent deacons were ordained, while 512 deacons retired from active ministry, and another 393 permanent deacons died. Rhonda Grunewald, the founder of Vocation Ministry, said, "We recognised a need in the Church to affirm our deacons and teach younger generations about the diaconate, so we felt compelled to start something ourselves. This is an effort to encourage deacons and their families. Unlike the transitional diaconate, permanent deacons will not be ordained as priests." Chaldean Patriarch Louis Raphael Sacco has expressed his desire to start a fraternal reflection on the possibility of sacramental communion with the Assyrian Church of the East. He based his personal opinion on the fact that both churches share the same liturgical, theological and spiritual patrimony, adding that it never had any direct dogmatic confrontations with the Roman Church. The Patriarch made it clear that ecclesial unity does not mean repressing lawful and fruitful differences. Cardinal Sacco said that essential unity between both churches is manifest in the common Christological declarations signed during the last few decades of ecumenical dialogue. Citing the writings of the Church Fathers and the Oriental heritage, the head of the Chaldean Church said that there were no apparent impediments to the union of both the churches and the adoption of the moniker Church of the East. Asserting closeness to those who face oppression from the dictatorial regime of Daniel Ortega in Nicaragua, Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has welcomed persecuted Nicaraguan religious and clergy to take refuge in his country. The president welcomed priests and nuns to Brazil during his opening address at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. The Catholic Church has been targeted by the leftist leaders since 2018, when the Church criticised the government for improper social security reforms. This led to wide protests in which more than 300 people lost their lives. Recently, the government expelled nuns of the Congregation of the Missionaries of Charity. This was followed by the closure of 7 Catholic radio stations, which was then condemned by Bishop Rolando José Alvarez of the Matagalpa Diocese. The government then started to target the prelate and kept him under house arrest. A Nicaraguan newspaper reported that the health of Bishop Rolando Alvarez of Matagalpa, who was kidnapped by dictator Daniel Ortega's police, has worsened. La Prensa quoted sources linked to the Episcopal Conference as saying that the bishop's heart condition is deteriorating. Police have been keeping the bishop under house arrest in Managua since August the 19th. La Prensa reported that there had been no trial or charges reported against him. Police said that he was arrested since the bishop provoked a violent mob to act against the government. Along with Bishop Alvarez, they arrested 3 priests, a deacon, 2 seminarians and a cameraman who are now in El Chipote prison, which is infamous for torturing inmates. From October the 2nd to the 16th, visitors to the Vatican will be greeted by a video on the life of St. Peter on the facade of St. Peter's Basilica every night at 9 p.m. The 8-minute-long 3D movie entitled Follow Me, The Life of St. Peter will be projected every 15 minutes from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. It highlights the life, the call and the ministry of St. Peter against the backdrop of Renaissance artworks found in the Vatican museums and inside the Basilica. The narration is in Italian with subtitles in English. The Archpriest of St. Peter's Basilica, Cardinal Mauro Gambetti, said, This is one of several pastoral initiatives to help welcome pilgrims to the tomb of St. Peter ahead of the Church's 2025 Jubilee year. The Cardinal said the Vatican anticipates 30 million visitors during that year. The historic shrine of Itati, dedicated to Our Lady in Argentina's Corrientes Archdiocese, witnessed 300,000 young believers making a pilgrimage recently. Representing different dioceses, the believers assembled at the shrine on September the 17th. Holy Mass was celebrated for the pilgrims by Bishop Hugo Nicolas Barbaro of San Roque de Presidencia Roque Sáenz Peña. The historic image of the Virgin was carved by the Franciscan missionaries in the 1500s, and it was based on the miraculous reflection of Our Lady on a rock near a river. Supernatural events in that area led to the conversion of native tribes. On July the 16th in 1900, Pope Leo XIII granted canonical coronation to the miraculous image. In the tiny Catholic nation of East Timor in Asia, all public schools will now have the document on human fraternity signed by Pope Francis and the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar as part of the curriculum. The document was inked in Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates, in 2019. The contents of the document will be studied by the Centre for the Human Fraternity of East Timor for World Peace, which was inaugurated recently by Archbishop Edgar Peña Parra, substitute for General Affairs of the Secretariat of State of the Holy See. East Timor will be the first nation to include the document in a school curriculum. Today, the Archbishop will also inaugurate the new building of the Apostolic Nunciature in Dili. He will also visit a care centre for poor children operated by Canossian nuns and the Interdiocesan Seminary of St. Peter and Paul. 97% of the former Portuguese colony's 1.3 million people are Catholic. A Cameroonian Catholic prelate has confirmed that the abduction of priests, a nun, and lay people in Nchang village was for ransom. Archbishop Andrew Nkea Fuanya of Bamenda confirmed that abductors had sought ransom for releasing the hostages. He added that armed gangs view the church as an easy target to make money. The whereabouts of those abducted are still unknown. On Friday, September the 16th, armed men stormed and torched St. Mary's Church in Nchang and abducted priests, religious and lay people. Cameroon has been facing political and social conflict since 2016 as the northwestern regions comprising French-speaking authorities and the southwest regions encompassing English-speaking minorities are in a state of belligerence. The situation worsened as the English-speaking Anglophone community demanded secession and started armed resistance. The Church has been calling on the international community to initiate peace dialogues in the conflict-affected region. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again tomorrow for more. And remember, you can also visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom.